In my remaining time before you, I will highlight the following features of the genocidal campaign by Israel.
And we've been listening to this hearing at the United Nations ICJ, where South Africa is attempting to force Israel to halt its operation in Rafah in Gaza. And joining us now in studio to weigh in on this topic is legal expert and political analyst Daniel Pomerantz, CEO of RealityCheck. Daniel, I can't help but hear how many times they are repeating the word genocide and genocidal acts and genocide and genocide. They speak of this, of Israel's so-called genocide of Palestinians, and say it so repeatedly as if it's fact, not their take on it. This must certainly slowly begin to impact the general narrative by hearing this over and over and over.
Well, it's critical that they make the case for genocide because war is not illegal, but genocide is. And Israel is a signatory to the Genocide Convention of 1948, which is a part of the Israeli soul. Israel helped draft it. It's an outgrowth of the Holocaust. And now South Africa is weaponizing, not just South Africa, but Hamas is weaponizing that convention to try and defeat the IDF off the battlefield, since they can't defeat them on the battlefield.
As with last time, there's a lot of emphasis on aid getting into Gaza. They're saying that Israel is deliberately holding back aid. It's not facilitating aid. That is something that the UN and others have been pressing Israel on for a long time now. The Kerem Shalom crossing, which was attacked by Hamas, Israeli soldiers were killed just last week, was once again mentioned.
That's correct. And if you look at the total amount of aids that's been moved into Gaza and compare it to the average calorie needs of a human being, Israel has moved in enough aid to feed every man, woman, and child in Gaza twice for the entire period of time from October until the present. The reason there is some danger of hunger, though, is because Hamas steals much of that aid.
Pomerantz, I want to talk about this other line of argument that South Africa has, quoting Israeli officials such as Bezalel Smotrich, who said there will be no half measures when it comes to Gaza. Amalek, which of course is the biblical term for the enemy of the Jewish people. These are being used as part of the argument against Israel as well.
Right. So when making a case for genocide, it's important that they make a case for genocide because war is not illegal. Genocide is. So in order to get an order, they have to prove genocide. One of the elements of genocide is intent. If you are trying to achieve a military objective, no matter how many people die, that's not genocide. If you're trying to wipe out an entire group, no matter how few people die, that is still genocide. It comes down to the intent. So how do you prove intent? Well, they do it in some ways that are more general, that Israel is attacking certain places or not letting aid through, none of which is true. But if it were true, it would be an indication that Israel was trying to wipe out an entire people. And of course, what some Israeli leaders might be saying could be an indication. Now, Smotrich's statements have already come up in the court before. Israel responded that, first of all, he's not a part of the war cabinet and plays no role in Israeli policy with respect to the IDF. And second of all, that his statements, when fully understood in context and translated correctly, were not, in fact, calling to wipe out an entire group of people.
Well, is Israel committing genocide here? Can you please tell us?
No, absolutely not. It's telling that not once in all of the testimony that we've heard, or arguments that we've heard from South Africa, did they ever mention the word Hamas. Not even once. They also didn't mention the word hostages. This relates to the context of why things have happened. They've spoken many times about the fact that the Kerem Shalom crossing for humanitarian aid is closed. It's not anymore. But they didn't mention that the reason it closed for approximately 2 days was because Hamas bombed it 3 times. They have consistently talked about the physical destruction throughout Gaza. They didn't mention that Hamas has booby-trapped much of the infrastructure in Gaza and has tunnels running under nearly every square meter of Gaza. According to Israeli figures that have been verified by international intelligence sources, civilian to combatant casualty ratios are the lowest in human history. If Israel were attempting to carry out a genocide, the numbers would look vastly different than that, and Israel would not be making such a strong effort to feed and provide medical care to Palestinians throughout Gaza.
Daniel Pomerantz, thank you very much for this analysis and for your input.
Thank you, Sivan.